on their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
I'm Avery Cooper here on the WTIM Morning Show. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm here on the phone with U.S. Representative Rodney Davis. Great to have you here, Congressman.
Hey, Avery, great to be on with you again, and hopefully back in studio again soon, too. It was great to see you a couple weeks ago.
It's great to see you as well. It's always great when you can make it in, but I'll take anything I can get with a congressman. So it is, goodness, not too long before the primaries happening here in about 3 weeks. This is going to be the last time we get to talk to you before the primaries. So we're going to kind of take it to the basics a little bit. Tell everybody a little bit about your experience and why you decided to run for Congress way back about 9 years ago.
Well, I some days I wonder why I ran for Congress, but I'm glad I did. It's been a great experience, and I really hope that me stepping up, coming from a small town like Taylorville, going to the same schools that your listeners went to and their kids go to. I want the next generation to know that they too can do what I do. This is the greatest country in the history of the world, and we truly are a representative democracy. We are a constitutional republic, and if some small town kid like me that gets a chance to go serve in the U.S. House of Representatives, it's a privilege. And I think over the last 9 years, we've done some really good things for the American people. And my goal is to, what got me engaged was working for a member of Congress, John Shimkus, for 16 years, and realizing that I could make a difference. And that truly is why I ran back 9 years ago and won some very close races, because the district was drawn to elect Democrats. And because of the support I had in Christian County, overwhelmingly each time, we won every single election. So I want to say thank you to all your listeners for making that happen.
What are some of the things you're proud of over your 9 years that you've accomplished in that time that you mentioned?
Well, we fought back efforts to defund our police and defund our military. I think our men and women in blue and our men and women in uniform deserve the support from their elected leaders. That's why I've always stood strong. I actually wrote legislation that's going to help address the student debt crisis in this country. This is a law now that incentivizes employers to help their employees pay down student debt. It's not government coming in saying they're going to forgive debt when we all know that it costs somebody else when that happens. These are tools in the toolbox that are private sector approaches. I mean, that's why I'm a Republican. I believe in giving the private sector that chance to be able to participate in solving our problems. So this is a big deal. It's a big law that I had passed in 20 that I'd been working on since I got to Congress. I've also written 2 farm bills. If you want to talk to our producers and ask about the risk management tools that they get to use to be able to lessen their risk that they take every single year that they plant crops, they'll know my influence there working on agriculture issues. And then when it comes to transportation, you don't have to look too far to see our results on infrastructure investment over my 9 years in Congress.
Why do you want the voters to return you to office?
I'm looking forward to having the Republicans in charge once again. I'll actually be the chairman of the House Administration Committee. That's the committee that runs the Capitol complex. And I think it's a travesty that the Democrats in charge now have had the Capitol virtually closed for over 800 days. It's not fully open, but in the end, it's partially open, and I'm glad that that's the case. But when I'm in charge, I'm going to reopen it. And I'm also going to fight the Biden administration to address inflation. I want to make sure they address the crime crisis we have in this country and also our border crisis.
Yeah. Speaking on the border security and the border security specifically, what are some of your plans to change policy if you are elected?
Well, first off, we have to have the administration be forced into recognizing that we have to re-implement President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. That policy stopped illegal border crossings and put them at the lowest level we've seen in generations. That has to work again, because right now our border crisis is worse than what you could ever imagine. I've been there, and you're seeing hundreds of crossings on, at multiple crossings in every town in along the southern border. And we've got to have Republicans in charge of the House and the Senate, and put language into must-pass bills that will force the Biden administration to enforce our existing laws and re-implement the Trump Remain in Mexico policy. That's what I'm going to lead on when I get reelected.
If you're reelected, tell me about some of your plans for inflation. I understand that's a big, hot topic issue for just about everybody in the nation right now.
It really is, Avery, and we're seeing it at the gas pumps. We're seeing it in our grocery stores. But first off, on the gas side of things, we have to force the Biden administration to reinvest in American energy independence. I want to see the Keystone Pipeline project move forward, that President Biden stopped on his first day in office. I also want to see us invest in more American energy exploration, where the Biden administration right now is holding back permit applications and not approving them. It's wrong, and it's costing every single American family. And the sad part is, Avery, I think the Biden administration is doing it on purpose. They truly believe that the American people don't need to be driving the vehicles we drive, and frankly want to move us to a different type of energy sector that will only crush family budgets more, and frankly put America at a competitive disadvantage with our global competitors too when it comes to economic growth.
What about at the grocery store and stuff like that too? I know energy independence is a big factor into our gas prices, but inflation is impacting more than just our gas prices right now.
You're absolutely right. And what used to cost $100 for a cart of groceries now seemingly costs $200 every time you go in to feed your family. We have to, number one, stop the outrageous spending that's happening in Washington. The Biden administration and Democrat solution is always spend more. Well, that exacerbates the inflationary pressures that our economy has right now. And what we have to do is really send a message to the American people that enough's enough. We're going to have to tighten our belts in Washington, live within our means, and at the same time, that will help drive down those inflationary pressures and hopefully drive down costs for the American people. We can't continue to see these cost increases go up, and I'm worried not just at the grocery store right now for families, but also when they're seeing exponential increases in their utility bills this summer. That's going to be something that we have to address.
And I know another big thing that you're focused on right now is crime. Tell me, what are your plans to address the nation's crime?
We need to hire more cops. We need to put more cops on the street to be able to enforce the laws that are here. Many of my colleagues have decided that they want to try and defund our police. They want to minimize what our law enforcement officials do for the American people on a daily basis, and they're wrong for that. So what I want to do is continue to invest in programs that will create a federal and local partnership to be able to reinvest in our police departments and get more cops on the streets. I want to see the training academies all throughout the state of Illinois. I want to see them, really blossoming with recruits, because we need people to go into law enforcement. Because I owe my life to two brave cops who ran toward gunfire on a baseball field so that me and my friends could run away from it. I've seen what well-trained, brave officers do, and I have the utmost respect for them. And the only way to stop this crime crisis is to hire more cops and make sure our prosecutors actually enforce the laws and put bad guys in jail.
And the prosecutors, of course, most of the time anyway, that's done by your vote at home. Making sure I have that right.
What's that?
Just that if, with prosecutors making sure they're doing their job, you have the power at home to, if they aren't, change that. And that's what voting is all about. Yep.
Absolutely.
Just concluding that point that you made there. Now is U.S. Representative Rodney Davis here on the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. More from Congressman Davis after this short break.
Your information station, WTIM.
On May 24th, the families of 19 school children in Uvalde, Texas, lost their boys and girls to a lone gunman that went into their school and killed them and 2 teachers before police were able to stop him by ending his life. Based on an idea from a fellow broadcast group owner in Texas, the Miller Media Group has a way for you to express your condolences to the families, the school staff, and superintendent of the schools in Uvalde that have been affected by this tragedy. Simply send an email to this email address, texaskids@randyradio.com. That's texaskids@randyradio.com. All emails we receive will be printed, put in a binder, and sent to the Uvalde, Texas school superintendent so he, his teachers, and students know that we in Central Illinois are grieving with them. Please send your email by 5 p.m. June 30th so that we can get the emails printed, bound, and shipped to the Uvalde, Texas school superintendent and continue keeping these families in your prayers. This message from the Miller Media Group.
Spring is in full swing, and that means summer is right around the corner. Now is the time to call Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville to schedule your pool opening appointment. Been thinking about getting a hot tub? Come in today and let the experienced staff members help you select your own personal paradise. In May, all hot tubs are 20% off. And new this season, Southern Ledge Pools and Patios will be selling Pelican Reef patio furniture. Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville, your outdoor fun creator.
I'm Will Perkins, President and CEO of the Taylorville Community Credit Union. TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight, allowing a different nonprofit organization to be highlighted on WTIM, WMKR, and WRAN each month.
Here's Judge Ron Spears with the Taylorville Optimist Club.
On June 15th, the Taylorville Optimist Club will celebrate 57 years of local public service projects. By providing hope and positive vision, optimists believe that giving of oneself in service to others will advance the well-being of our community. Optimists will again sponsor the July 4th fireworks at Lake Taylorville, and the financial support of individuals and businesses is greatly appreciated. The Optimist Club needs new members to help in its public service. Meetings are at People's Bank at 7 a.m. on the second and fourth Thursdays of each month. Come and share your talents and include optimism in your life.
TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight. Come join us. You'll wonder why you waited. Member NCUA.
Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Tufan from Taylorville Urgent Care. We're a walk-in clinic that's open 7 days a week to take care of sniffles, injuries, broken bones, and more. Find out more by clicking on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Just Beds are the yawn exterminators, and they can give you a better night's sleep. Choose from Bemco, Chatham & Wells, Sealy, Simmons, and Tempur-Pedic. Find out the many models and styles available on their updated website by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Landmark of Taylorville. I have to bring you this stream on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com's Facebook and WTIM TV YouTube. You'll always do better with Landmark, along with People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. I'm here on the phone with U.S. Representative Rodney Davis, as this is the last time we get to hear from Congressman Davis before the June 29th primary elections, going over some of the big issues that he's paying attention to. And, you know, Congressman, we talked about some of the 3 big ones that you're paying attention to. Obviously, you're paying attention to a lot of different issues. I know you're also focused on mental health. We've received a comment on our Facebook about how mental health facilities are badly needed in Christian County. And I know that's not just a Christian County thing, right, Congressman?
It's not. I do have to correct something you just said, though. The primary is actually June 28th. Tuesday,
Thank
June
you.
28th.
Thank you so much. That is very important. June 28th. Not June 29th. It is 3 weeks away today.
Yep.
Thank you for correcting me. But anyway, going back to mental health, it's the issue of our time right now, it feels like.
It really is. And as a matter of fact, federally speaking, we've invested historic amounts of effort in mental health and trying to provide better access. We passed historic mental health reforms just a few years ago that have allowed families to be able to intervene before somebody who's mentally ill gets to that crisis stage. We have to also look at the mental health effects of closing down our schools over the last few years and what they've had on our kids. But you're right, there is a lack of access all throughout our counties. Keep in mind, a few decades ago, it was cool to shut down large mental health facilities. But unfortunately, what it did is it put those who needed help the most right back into our communities where we don't have as much access to those resources. I'd certainly like to work in a bipartisan way to figure out how we can ensure that more medical students are going into to get those degrees to be able to deal with mental health issues. We have a shortage of doctors and therapists and those that would engage in this type of practice. We need to incentivize that. Those are the types of things that I certainly hope we can do, and certainly things that I'll be working on in the future too.
Putting it bluntly, do you feel that this can be a bipartisan issue?
It has to be. I mean, it's one that has to be addressed, but it's also not necessarily going to be solved at the federal level either. At some point, we have to have leaders in Illinois that are going to look at, how do we provide that access to treatment that, and unfortunately, over the last few decades have actually lessened. Those are the things that I think we need to consider at the state and local level too.
I feel you've capped off some of the things you're focused on pretty well. So let's condense in a little bit. And I know you don't do a ton of this yourself, but when you send out your door knockers to go ask people for votes and all that, what do you tell them to give for an elevator pitch in about 45 to 60 seconds?
Well, number one, they're going to get an experienced member of Congress who's actually got a great legislative record. I don't mind a political fight like the best of them, but we've got a job to do too. All levels of government, we have to do our job that the voters sent us to do. And in my case, my job's in Washington to vote on behalf of the citizens of this district. I'm going to continue to be a fighter to address inflation. We're going to address the border crisis, and we're also going to address the crime crisis we have in this country. And I will never, ever vote to defund our military and our police. These are the things that I'm proud of, and I hope I can earn everyone's vote on June 28th.
June 28th. Yes. What makes you different from any other candidates seeking the same office?
I'm somebody who really stands up for our conservative values and principles. I've never sacrificed our core values on standing up for the unborn. I've got 100% pro-life voting record. I will never sacrifice our Second Amendment freedoms, but I've got a history of actually putting good solutions that are Republican solutions in place and helping to write good policy that really positively affects our voters here.
Some local interest. I understand some of the middle schoolers of Taylorville School District are visiting Washington, D.C. right now, and I know they're really excited to tour the Capitol with you, Rodney.
I'm excited to see him. I think I'm going to see him tomorrow morning, and I'm just glad that we've got the Capitol partially open, but it really needs to reopen the rest of the way. This is going to be the first time that I'm able to see tours back out since 2020 and since the 2019 year, and I'm really excited to see what Sam Calandro and the crew has in store for these kids this year.
Sounds like a great time, man. I know with the Capitol being only partially open, that's also something you're going to pay attention to if you are reelected.
Yeah, when I'm reelected and I'm sworn in to be chairman of House Administration, I will reopen that Capitol on day one.
Sounds like a plan. Anything else before you go? Any parting thoughts? I know you usually have one.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks. Thank you to everyone who's given me this opportunity to serve in Congress. I'm asking for your vote in this primary season. We've never had a June election in my lifetime, so get out and vote. Get out and vote. You can vote early if you're going to be gone up at the courthouse, and make sure that if you have any questions about my record, I want to do everything I can to earn your vote once again, and I'm honored to be able to have the opportunity to ask for that vote.
Vote as early as you can. That goes for everybody out there. Thank you so much, Representative Rodney Davis, for coming on the WTIM Morning Show.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care to yourself, too. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first.
WTIM.